What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Moonjuice Horror and Metal Podcast, the podcast where we live and breathe heavy metal and horror, but are not afraid to shit all over both of them.
Yeah.
What movie did we watch this time, Mike?
The movie called Ready or Not, So basically, a movie about a girl that's just getting married, and then after that has to have mandatory fun day with her husband's family.
So I know we said we were going to do, what did we say we were going to do? We said we were going to do Wrong Turn, right?
Exactly.
Kind of halfway through that, we decided to do Friday the 13th, but didn't say that. And then, first of all, I really like this movie, and so I kind of keep up on the news about it. And there was kind of a small announcement by the guys who created the movie that they were going to do a part 2. And I was like, well, fuck, okay. Well, we're going to have to do this movie before part 2 comes out, because when part 2 comes out, I really want to do it. And it's not going to make sense to do part 2 unless we've seen this one. So I figured, why not do a newer film? This is 2019. It's not like super new, but it was during that time, kind of in the middle of the pandemic, where people were just watching movies, and this was one of the ones that stuck out to me. I was
when
like,
it started,
yeah,
not in the middle.
Yeah, that's when it started. But everybody was kind of on lockdown and watching movies. This was one of the ones that I watched. And like I said, I liked it, dude. I thought this movie was good. It's I'm not gonna say no-name director and no-name writer, although I can't remember their names. I looked it up and now I've completely forgotten what their names were. We'll have to come back to that. But pretty surprising, because these guys don't really have their names attached to anything else. Smara Weaving is the main actress. She's been in The Babysitter, which is a horror movie from 2018, I want to say, and she's also in part 2. She did a brief, I want to say it was 2 episodes of Ash vs. Evil Dead, where she is one of the hikers that they find and bring into the cabin in the series, and she gets brutally murdered, but her acting is fantastic.
Yeah, she's good. She's a good actor.
Yeah, she's really good. But did you, by any chance, happen to catch where this movie takes place? Because I didn't. Somewhere in the U.S.
No. Somewhere in the U.S. by some big rich family's mansion.
Yeah,
I don't know. I didn't catch.
Didn't catch the state. I don't think they ever said the state in the movie. But anyway, for the most part, I really like the film. I guess we can jump into it, dude. I think initial reactions when I first saw this movie, like I said, it was kind of a time when it was a little bit, there was really nothing going on. So I was really into watching movies. And when this thing started, we were kind of talking before the podcast began. Mike felt like this movie was a rom-com at first, like the first 30 minutes, 40 minutes of the movie. He's like, what is this shit? Why is Matt watching a rom?
Yeah, really. Yeah, that's how I felt. In the first 30, 40 minutes, I was like, God fucking shit. I mean, it was like, this is a fucking boring rom-com, and if Matt wouldn't have told me we're doing this movie on the episode, I would have literally turned it out, because I don't fuck this shit. I mean, I can watch what's it called, Gute Zeiten, Schlechte Zeiten, or I don't know what it's called in the States.
I have no idea.
The Young and the or something.
The Young and the Restless, maybe?
Yeah, exactly. The Young and the Restless.
Okay, The Young and the Restless. Yeah.
Well,
okay, so kind of like what we were talking about before we started recording, I think maybe that was the goal. There was a little bit of, you get a little bit of foreshadowing at the beginning before we meet the main character. You kind of get a look at the past.
True.
In the past, you kind of get a look at what this family's been doing and who they are, but it doesn't give you a whole lot of detail. It's kind of like a small look into their lives and another instance that happened. So the movie opens up and you get a flashback 30 years earlier. The family's name is Ladomus. And this flashback takes place in their mansion. And what we get is a terrified groom who's running for his life from people in masks. And it's obvious that he's inside a mansion. So he's dressed like a groom, and you know that he's a groom, and he's running terrified for his life. And the people that are following have masks on and robes and weapons, like old school weapons. And he sees a boy in the hallway, which we don't know this yet, but that's young Alex, who is the groom in this movie later. And he runs to the kid for help and is like, hey, help me. And he's obviously running for his life. So he asks the kid for help. And the kid's like, hey guys, he's over here. So he signals the whole family that's chasing him in the house that he's where he is. And they come up and they shoot him with an arrow. He's already got an arrow stuck in him, but now he's shot in the stomach with an arrow. And then they drag him away. So Alex is there. There's 2 kids that he runs up to. There's an older one and a younger one. The younger one gets stuffed in a closet when the guy runs up asking for help. And that is young Alex, or his older brother. I can't remember his name, but he doesn't get to see what happens. Like he doesn't see what the family's doing or what they've done with the guy. So he completely missed out on this when it happened 30 years ago, which is why I think his character is a little bit more conflicted in this movie.
I think you switched the two up. I think the one
I
in the
might have.
closet,
I think that
the one in the
that
closet
was
was
Daniel.
Alex, and the kid that said, "Hey, he's here." The older brother Daniel. I think you got those two mixed up.
So Alex is hidden away. So he doesn't really see what happened. He doesn't understand why his family acts a little bit crazy. And you get the feeling when current day starts, when you get a look at current day, that he's a little bit standoffish from his family. Like, so the next scene we get the main actress, which, what is her movie name? Grace.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Grace is upstairs in the mansion with a wedding dress on, getting ready for the wedding. She's looking out the window while she's getting ready, and she sees everybody gathering for the wedding, which is on this huge, like, grassy courtyard on the family's property. She's nervous. She's smoking a cigarette, talking to herself, like rehearsing her vowels that she's going to say. And then her fiance walks in behind her, and that's Alex. There's a little bit of like, I don't know. I felt like maybe they shouldn't have done this, but they kind of gave it away at the beginning a little bit.
Yeah,
right?
they did. They
Because
gave it away at the
she's like-
beginning, and it was just
He's like, well,
the next thing that's off putting about this scene is I only know two types of movies that usually start out this way. No, it's either rom-coms or porn.
yeah.
I mean, Matt, come on. I mean, bride's coming in, having a smoke. Then the groom is coming in, or obviously it's the stepmom or the stepfather. And I mean, literally, it's like I was sitting there thinking, like, wow, I'm watching porn now, because that's how literally pretty much the most of porn scenes start.
Yeah.
But yeah.
You're right. It could have gone either way. But she's like hyped. She's ready to get married, right? And
Yeah, she's nervous, of course.
yeah.
Yeah.
And Alex is like, hey, it's not too late to back out, right? And that sounds a little bit ominous coming from him. Like, you don't really expect that. And he's like, we could just get married, at a courthouse, or we could get married somewhere else. We don't have to get married here. And she's like, no, I really wanted to get married here. So this is my decision. So it's actually her choice to come back to the family and get married on the family grounds, which is tradition, right? So that felt a little ominous too. See, something's coming.
Yeah. And something's coming, obviously. This is like, I don't know. It's one of those movies straight up to begin with, pretty much also towards the end, where I just feel like everybody in this movie is a complete fucking idiot. Even Grace, even though I liked her, but it's just like,
she's pretty much a Mary Sue. Like, we don't know really anything about her, right? And there's nothing to know. Like, we see through the rest of the movie, she doesn't get any character development. We don't know what type of family she's from. We don't know how she grew up. We just know that she's a normal person, and these people are not normal people. Right?
Yeah. Mary Sue is fitting. Yeah.
So she's just a Mary Sue, which is fine. I think it works in the context of the film. We didn't really need to know a whole lot about her, because she's just your any girl kind of person. So the details and foreshadowing in this, right? There's a scene right after this where they go and they get married. It's kind of a short scene. It just lets you know, hey, they did get married. Later that night, they're back in the house and they're in the bedroom, and they're about to bang because they just got married. As they're about to do this, the crazy old aunt, with a kind of a mohawk thing is standing in the room, because she came in like the maid's chamber door without telling them. She's just standing there in the room while they're about to bang.
Yeah.
Grace notices it and freaks out about it. She's like, what the hell is she doing here? The aunt, which I can't remember her name right now either. I'll probably pick it up later. I was trying to come up with a cool nickname for her, because she's got a ridiculous haircut.
Yeah.
But I couldn't think of anything. I was thinking like maybe Bebop from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Bebop, yeah, but I think let's go with that name, Bebop, yeah.
Let's go with Bebop. I'll go with Bebop. That fucking hair is ridiculous. So they get her in the room, like the family's room, and basically the patriarch of the family, the father, is like, well, we're going to do the thing that we always do when a new person marries into the family. We're going to bring you downstairs into the room that is strictly for the family. Nobody else sees this room but the family. She's like, okay. And they bring her in this room, and the room is filled with like hunting trophies and taxidermy and weapons, like so many fucking weapons. And these weapons that are on the wall look like they go back to like early nerds, some of them, all the way up to like modern day weapons. And they're just all the way around the room. In the center of a room is a table with a whole bunch of chairs, and the whole family comes in, every stupid one of them. There's some really fucking screwball characters in this family, dude. Like, these people are fucking wrecked.
Yeah.
They are. It's like
That's
your
fitting, yeah.
typical, yeah, your typical overly rich people that don't really prize anything except for money and are kind of just losers. They are like,
Yeah.
there's nothing interesting about any of these people. One of the guy's wives comes up and introduces herself to the bride because she wasn't there for the wedding because they couldn't get there in time.
Yeah.
And she's like got cocaine on her nose, like right here. She just forgot to wipe it away. So she meets her and she's like, blah, 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 blah. And Grace is like, and she's like, yeah, I'm sorry. She's a fucking wreck, dude. This girl is a fucking wreck. And it's gonna,
Stoner girl.
yeah, it's gonna come back too because she does several things in this film that are just asinine and kind of like the last podcast where you were talking about Steve. Like I would have shot that guy in the face the first time I met him.
Yeah.
This girl, the family should have shot her in the head before this began because she's obviously a fucking wreck and gonna cause some problems, right? So the whole family sits down at the table. She sits down at the table, and then the father starts to explain that their great grandfather was kind of a guy who was an entrepreneur and had his own business. So he created playing cards in World War One, right? And started setting that up and started making some money with it. He did a trip, and I'm guessing it was a business trip. I can't remember exactly what was said, but he was on a boat. And he met someone on the boat and started drinking with the guy. The guy was also an entrepreneur and basically showed him a wooden box that's like a puzzle box.
Yeah.
Right. And he told their great grandfather, hey, if you can figure this box out, because this is a puzzle box, if you can figure this puzzle box out before the end of the voyage, I will pay all the money for you to create whatever you want to do with your business. So whatever your first big venture is, I will pay for it if you can figure out the puzzle box. So obviously he figures out the puzzle box.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy who we get his name later, we don't get it at the beginning of the story, but he says, okay, you figured out the puzzle box. So now the puzzle box is one, it's yours. Yeah. And two, I'm going to finance your first big venture. So that happens. Flash forward to this time. This guy has set up several different businesses and he's done really, really well for himself and the family. And that's why the family's rich. They not only did playing cards, they did board games, they did sports teams, all sorts of stuff. So they have money invested in the entertainment industry like crazy. And that's why they're rich. So he doesn't go into exactly why they're having the game other than it's a family tradition.
Yeah, yeah.
But the reason everybody's sitting down is to do the game. So he takes the exact same puzzle box. By the way, before this, you get a little bit of foreshadowing between the dad and Alex. And the only thing that dad says to Alex is, hey, so if she happens to draw that card, are you going to be able to do what has to be done? Right? And Alex doesn't answer. He looks like he's unsure if he believes in the whole thing, whatever's going on, or if he even cares, if he thinks it's a silly game, whatever. Doesn't say anything. Fast forward to now when the whole family's in the room, he gets the puzzle box out and he takes one blank card and he puts it in the puzzle box and closes it. And he says, okay, so you're going to draw a card from this puzzle box. Whatever card you get, that's the game that we're going to play together as a family. And he kind of goes through some of the other games that they played. Old Maid, Clue, I think, is one of the games.
Yeah.
Hide and Seek, and then there's a few others, right? One of the husbands at the table that married into the family says, oh, man, when it was my turn and I had to do this shit, I got Old Maid. And he's like, what the fuck is Old Maid? Who plays that shit? In modern day plays Old Maid. Yeah. But it was a game like back in like the 20s or whatever. And I think some people still do play it, but I've never played it. So obviously that's not a dangerous game or anything that's going to get him killed. Hide and Seek, unfortunately, is. And when she draws her card, it's hide and seek. Right?
Yeah. Exactly.
So when she draws her card and it says hide and seek, the whole mood of the entire room changes. Like it goes from happy and like drinking and having fun to somber and oh shit. Yeah. Nobody says that, but you can just see the looks on the faces.
She's the only one that does. She's the only.
Why would she? I mean, she's just kind of there.
Yeah.
Has no like background about anything. So she draws the card and she looks at Alex and she notices that he's also kind of like, what the fuck? Shit, you know?
Yeah.
And she's like, hey, what's wrong? Is everything okay? He's like, no, it's okay. It's okay. And then he whispers in her ear, he's like, you just meet me up in the bedroom right after this. Like, meet me up in the bedroom. I think she kind of ignores that because she doesn't. So the family's like, okay, so we're going to start the game. And what's going to happen is you're going to go hide somewhere in the house, anywhere. You've got the whole house. It's a mansion. Hide somewhere. And we have to come find you. And she says, well, is there any way that you can win this game? Like, if this is a game, can I win it? And he's like, yeah, if you stay hidden until dawn, you'll win the game. right? Which is exactly what this family doesn't want to happen, because unbeknownst to us, if she doesn't die tonight, something terrible is going to happen, right? To the family. We don't really know that yet. So she goes and hides. She's not really taking it seriously. So she goes and she hides in the dumbwaiter, which is there's like, I don't know if you've seen this in old houses from like the 20s and the 30s. There's a door that opens up.
I
You
know.
put a tray of food inside of it.
I
I'm
know
just
what that is.
explaining to the viewers,
I know
right?
what that is.
And then it goes up to the room above. So she hides in that thing, right? The family starts to arm themselves with antique weapons, crossbows, rifles, etc.
Yeah.
And axes. Bebop grabs an axe, like the oldest woman gets a gigantic axe.
Yeah, she's the first one. She automatically, Bebop goes straight to the axe, straight to it.
That was mine. Because I think that's kind of a play on the whole battle axe word, which battle axe is what you call an older woman that is like really feisty in English.
Yeah.
You call it a battle axe. So this chick goes and gets a battle axe, which is fitting. Alex kind of sneaks off and hides in the dumbwaiter. At this point, we get our first casualty in the film. You remember this casualty? Like the first kill?
No, you're way too early. Because she hides in the dumbwaiter. She's in there for a while. Then they're looking for her out the room or whatever. No. Then during all of this, she's still in the dumbwaiter. No. And then Alex decides to go get her. No, because she doesn't want her to die. However, then he finds her right when she comes out. Right when she comes out of the dumbwaiter, Alex finds her shortly after. Then hides with her in their bedroom. And she has no fucking idea what's going on at this time. Right. That's just when one of the maidens, sort of walk out, you have Stoner Girl, just instantly pulls out a fucking gun and shoots her in the head. That's the first casualty you're talking about, right? It's like, I mean...
Yeah, by the way, her name is Emily. And what makes it, and she's Alex's sister, by the way.
Yeah.
That's who the character is. It's Alex's sister. And so they have a maid who is watching the kids in the kids' room. So this is the kids' room, right? Yeah. And the maid is in there just watching the kids. She hears something outside, opens the door, Emily shoots her right in the face with a shotgun. And it's like, shit, I'm sorry. Like, she says, I'm sorry. Like, oh, I'm sorry, you're dead now. Right?
No. Yeah. No, so first she was full happy, like, oh, look, I got her, and blah, 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 blah. No?
Yeah. It was just like, you realize this who it is.
Yeah, you know who it is, because it's just like, yeah, she has to be stoned up her ass to not see that is not a bride. That is not the woman wearing like the big, wedding dress. Well, later on the characters say, no. And then it comes, of course, they're like, what the fuck did you do? And she says, oh, I'm sorry, you're dead.
Here's the thing. Like, I would call her Stoner Girl, but she's not stoned. She's on fucking cocaine, dude. She's like hyped up, loopy, not in her right mind kind of thing. And she's like this the entire film, because the first thing she does after she shoots this fucking maid in the head is do another big line of cocaine. She's like, well, that was fucked up. That was terrible. I made a mistake. Maybe I should do some more cocaine. So that's what she... So Grace witnesses this murder, by the way, right? She sees this happen. And so at this point, she realizes that it's not actually a game. This is the point where she realizes, okay, wait a minute, these people are trying to fucking kill me, right? So there's a security system in the house, right?
That put the entire house on the...
Yeah, the whole house has a security system with cameras. The father explains to her before this whole game started that they shut off the cameras so that they don't have an advantage and know where she is. So they've turned off the security system. But at this point, because somebody's now dead, they decide to turn the fucker back on. They're like, okay, no, let's turn the security system on. We have to find her, or else something bad's going to happen to us, right? Yeah. So they turn it on. Alex notices this and goes and disables it again.
No, no. Huh? You're bringing it up because Alex, after they all leave, Alex takes Grace, so somewhere between the walls, and he explains more further into what's going on, and that like blah blah blah. They're trying to kill you, and on this, and the entire house is on lockdown. Why would we be tricky to get out of here? Then he basically says, you go down to the kitchen, and I'll go turn off the security system so we can get out. Then comes the part where you're at. Yeah. Right.
So this is after they've witnessed the murder. He tells her that. So she goes one way and he goes the other. She goes down the stairs. Now, he told her to go to the kitchen. Go down the stairs and go to the kitchen. Well, when she gets down the stairs, there's only two ways she can go. There's a door on the right and a door on the left. And she's like, which one of these is the right one? Because if she comes out of the right one, she could come out right in front of everybody else and then get shot. So she chooses the door, and she chooses the absolute wrong fucking door. Of course,
She goes right.
Of course, this is a horror film. The worst thing that Murphy's Law is in full effect, right?
Yeah.
So she comes out of that door right in front of the older brother of Alex and the mom, and of course his crazy coked up sister, right? Who now has another weapon. Because she didn't want to use the shotgun anymore. Now she's got like this little fucking hand pistol thing. Yeah. She sees her and starts wildly shooting, right? And misses her with every shot. And I think ends up shooting someone else too. Am I right?
Yeah. I think could be. I'm not sure, but I'm not. It could be that she shoots somebody else in this moment. Yeah. I think so. Yeah.
Okay. So, and then Grace realizes she didn't hit her with any of the shots, so she just runs right past her. And the girl's like, she's freaking out because she didn't hit her. Shot somebody else, and Grace keeps running. This is where Alex disables the security system because he went in the opposite direction than her. He disables the security system. The family panics knowing that if Grace survives until sunrise, they're all going to die, supposedly. Although, here's the thing. They've never actually seen what happens if they fail. They're going on the words of relatives from a long time ago that if this game fails and she doesn't die, that something terrible is going to happen to the whole family. They don't know what, they don't know how, but they do kind of explain that there are other families, and it's kind of small. It's a blink if you miss it kind of thing. But the father explains, oh, did you hear what happened to this family? Did you hear what happened to this family? They died in a fire, or they died in this terrible accident. So there have been things that have happened to other families who have made a deal with this same character that they mention who die. So they're going off of what they've heard and what they see. So Alex disables the security system. Daniel, who is the younger brother or the older brother? Daniel's the older brother. Right? Yeah. Daniel confronts Alex saying, you won't leave, you never do, which means Alex has been there several times for this. And he still has not left the family. He's distanced himself from the family, but he never left. So he still is part of the family, but they're all trying to get him back.
I think you're mixing something up. Because Grace was hiding in another room, and then Daniel walks in and sees her.
Yeah.
And then
what happens there?
The Daniel is like, well, I think I have to call the others, and no, Daniel, don't have to, and blah blah blah. No, and then Daniel explains that he doesn't want to do all this and blah, and then he tells her basically, "I'll give you a head start." No, then he counts.
That's right.
Yeah, and then she starts.
That's right.
Then she starts running again, and then he screams, "Ah, she's in here!" Blah blah blah.
But he gives her a 10-second start.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is what he says he's going to do. Which this character's conflicted, dude. Like you can tell he doesn't want any part of this and kind of believes it, but kind of also doesn't believe it. So he's like, this is stupid, and I'm just going to go with it, but I don't want to be the one to have to shoot you. So I'm going to give you a 10-second head start. You run, and then I'll let him know that you were here.
Yeah.
So she does. She runs. This time she ends up in the kitchen. Right? No? Where does she end up?
She runs through the hallway. I think they try to get her going, and then she runs up to. God damn it!
Oh no! Okay, no. Yeah. She runs into the family's room, the room where they first started the game, and she sees a gun on the wall, like a rifle, right? And it looks like This looks like. I tried to look up what this weapon was, but I couldn't find it anywhere. But it is a rifle from, I want to say, like maybe the 1800s that people would have used to kill elephants with.
Exactly.
Because the fucking rounds on this thing are like that.
Yeah.
They're like a step down from a 50 cal, right? So she grabs that weapon because it's the lowest one for her to grab, but two, all the ammunition's there. So she grabs all the ammunition and slings it across her chest and grabs the weapon and heads down and goes into the kitchen, right? So she's in the kitchen and she's about to load the weapon and the fucking waiter walks in.
Yeah.
Right? And so I don't know what this dude's deal is, man. Like I was trying to figure out the waiter. It's not really a plot hole, but the guy is not part of the family, right? He's just financed by the family. He's the family's waiter, the help, basically.
The butler.
But for someone who's just being paid by the family, he seems like a very close person to the family because he wants her dead as well, obviously. Because then the gravy train ends. He doesn't get paid anymore if the family dies, obviously. So he walks into the kitchen and he's singing to himself and starting some tea, right? Well, there's kind of an island in the center of the kitchen and she's hiding behind it. So he's here and she's behind the thing with the weapon. So the whole thing is she's trying to load the weapon with these gigantic rounds, right? This is an ancient weapon, so it's probably not in the best shape, and it makes a lot of noises. And so when she breaks the muzzle to put in the round, it makes a sound. Waiter immediately notices it and is quiet and starts trying to walk around the island because he thinks he heard the gun crack, right?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
She keeps scooting around the island quietly so that whenever he shows up there, she's on another part of it. She plays this game of cat and mouse with him for a little while. He gives up and goes back to making his tea, and then she loads around into the weapon, which makes quite a sound. He hears that, turns around. There's another kind of game of cat and mouse for a little while, and then something happens outside the window that's in the kitchen. I can't remember exactly what it is, but that gets his attention. And he turns around to face the window, and she stands up with the weapon fully loaded behind him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he turns around and sees her with the weapon, and he's like, oh, there you are. Not scared at all.
Yeah.
Not scared at all that he's got this gigantic weapon pointed in his face. She's like, okay, fucker. She pulls the trigger, click, no bang. And he's like, yeah, sorry. None of the rounds that are on the wall in that room are real. They're all fake rounds.
They're all fake, yeah.
They're all fake rounds. And he's like, did you really think we would be that stupid? And when he says that, she cocks him in the head with the fucking shotgun.
Yeah.
Like, just fucking cold cocks him, dude. So he's down. She runs away. Let's see. And at this point, I think she gets out of the house. Am I correct?
No. She first runs up to the the dumbwaiter again and finds another girl in there, one of the maids. No?
The other maid. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Right. This maid has no fucking idea what's going on, and then is like, totally freaking out. And she says, no, you don't have to worry. They're after me. They're not after you. And then she instantly, she's here. And then she just somehow she just wants to shut her up, wants to push her back in and close the door. But she accidentally, Grace pushes the wrong button and then kills the fucking maid.
Because that scene of her body is hanging out of the dumbwaiter.
Yeah.
I love that scene. She's just kind of halfway hanging out of it. She pushes the button and notices it's starting to go up.
Yeah.
And is trying to cram her back into it before it, like, crushes her, but doesn't make it. So the maid gets her fucking back and neck crushed, and she's, like, spitting blood on the floor. She's like, oh, I just killed her. Okay, great.
Yeah.
So she runs because the maid, before she died, said, hey, she's here, or whatever.
Yeah. And the family is aware that what happens, and they all come running and find this maiden or whatever. And they say, oh shit, where is she? Blah, blah, blah. We're not going to find her. And I think then we come to the point where she gets out. Because you have like...
security systems are shut down.
Yeah,
right? She
through one of the windows, Grace got out of onto the roof and was waiting outside so nobody knew where she was. And then you have like the one guy that married into the family. He's somehow just sitting there looking something up on his cell phone. No. And then you see her from the background because she jumps off the roof and lands on the floor. No? And then he turns around, doesn't see anything. Then she starts, now she's out of the house, and then she starts just running towards the fence to get the fuck out of here.
Right. And so this is where we get another one of my favorite scenes where Alex's dumb sister fucks up again, right?
Yeah.
So the whole family is now kind of huddled in it looks like a study. It's not the same room they were in before. So they look like they're huddled into a study, and they're all like, okay, guys, the security system is down, and we think she's outside, so we have to step this up, right? Mm-hmm. So Alex's dumb sister is like, well, that gun doesn't work. I can't hit anything with it. I need something else. And so her husband hands her his ancient crossbow. He's like, well, they gave me this fucking crossbow. I don't think I'm going to shoot it. So he's got it in her hand. She's got it in her hand, and right then, one of the maids walks into the room, and she's like, hey, I just saw her. She's here. And fucking Alex's dumb sister pulls the trigger. Crossbow and right through the mouth. Like, dude, at this point, like, lock her up. Just lock her up. Just put her somewhere else, because she's going to keep killing the help.
That's the thing is, this is also like, I mean, these people clearly know her. And they clearly know I guess the entire family probably knew she was going to pull something off like this. And they still give her a fucking a weapon in her hand. That's like,
that's what kills me. I don't think this would happen. I think any family would be like, okay, you know what? You're the one who's gonna go watch the kids.
Yeah,
we'll just bring one of the maids down to hunt her down because you're gonna fuck this whole thing up. So now she's killed three people. Three people that are not the person she's supposed to kill. Like, dude, tie her up and lock her away until this is over. Just seriously. So Grace at this point has kind of made it down the stairs of the house into the yard where the wedding was, and then past it. She finds a kind of like a barn. It's a goat barn, right? She finds the family's goat barn, and kind of goes in there to hide, right?
Yeah.
So she goes in to hide past the goats, kind of the far left stall, and hides there. And at this point, she realizes somebody's behind her and about to come in, somebody with a flashlight. So that person comes in, looks through the goat pen, and then sees her. And it's the young child of the family, right? One of them anyway. I think it's the older boy, but probably not over the age of 8 or 9, right?
Yeah, around that time.
Yeah. He sees her. She's like, "Hey, please help me. Please help me. They're trying to kill me." And he pulls out a gun, this little fucker. He pulls a gun and shoots her. But when he shoots her, it just goes through her hand because she was holding up her hand to him. Gigantic fucking hole in her hand. Like you can see through it. It's about this big. Yeah. And she's like, "Oh, she looks at her hand, and with her left hand, she punches the kid in the fucking blazing flat, dude." Yeah. Little fucker. So yeah, she knocks his ass out. She's got a bloody hand. She realizes that if she doesn't get out of here quick, they're going to come find her. So there's kind of this, it's like an opening to the floor in the middle of the room, but it's built up on top of the floor like a, kind of like a hatch.
Like a basement. She gets scared by the goat.
Yeah. Yeah. She gets scared by the goat. Yeah. She gets scared by the goat and then goes down into this thing, but accidentally slips off the ladder and falls. When she falls into what looks like a shitload of goat carcasses that have been mutilated. Like these are not rotting goat carcasses. These are like mutilated, sacrificed goats. And this is where you get your hint that this family might actually be involved in some type of,
It's people. It's not goat. It's not goats.
No, it's goats. It's a shitload of goats and one dead body of a human.
I thought I saw corpses, not goat carcasses.
It's all goat carcasses. I looked really close to make sure, but it's goat carcasses that have all been mutilated, and then the dead human body, mummified body of the guy that we saw 30 years earlier. They got shot in the belly with the arrow, the last groom that got killed. So his rotting corpse is down there. But the thing that I noticed about the goats, and I didn't notice it, like I'd seen this movie once before, I didn't notice it until now. But the goats that were in the pit, go back and look at it. They look ritually sacrificed. Like they don't look like just dead goat bodies. So this was your hint to know that the family was into some type of sacrifice, possible satanic stuff, right?
Yeah, wasn't that straight up to begin with? I pretty much knew that straight up to begin with.
No, we know the family is into something. We don't know what yet because nobody's mentioned it. Nobody's talked about it. It's just, hey, there's this silly game we have to play, and it's kind of a ritual, blah blah blah.
Yeah. Well, actually, to be honest, I thought what would, in my opinion, what gave off the fact that it's some kind of sacrificial ritual shit is the family putting around a magic box where cars come out of it. I mean, that's like, I'm sorry.
Mike. Could it
That's
be,
the
Mike,
point where I thought,
that you and I have seen so many horror films? Could it be that you and I have seen so many horror films that we kind of read into things that other people probably wouldn't, like the people in this movie? Like, I wouldn't have, like, I don't know. I've seen so many that, yes, you would assume this family's into some shady shit, but from the people that are in the film, they wouldn't have gotten that from this. They would have just been like, well, this is weird, but okay.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
And even when she falls into the goat pit, I don't think she realizes what's going on. So, like, she realizes that they're going to kill her, but she already knew that. She realizes there's a human body down there with arrows sticking out of it, so they killed him, and this is where they throw the bodies. That's all she knows. So now she's like, fuck, I got to get out of here, because there's no way out of this pit. Like, this is going to be where I die if I don't get out.
Yeah.
So she starts trying to climb up the ladder, and we get some, like, Sam Raimi style, like, black comedy kind of stuff, because there's a nail at the top that the hatch closes on, and it's just kind of sticking up. She's got one hand with a giant hole in it, so she's trying to climb the ladder with her one good hand while the other hand's tucked here. So she slowly makes it up this ladder doing this and gets to the top, and then immediately slaps, I think it's her left hand. She slaps her left hand on top of the hatch right over the nail. Now she's got her hand impaled to this nail. There's blood everywhere. So now she's got 2 holes in her hand. It's like that. And make it worse, like she slipped off the ladder, so she's literally being supported by the weight of this nail sticking through her hand, right? And she's just screaming, and goddamn, this actress can scream her ass off.
Yeah.
Her screams are like, and this is what I noticed in The Evil Dead too. She's got like this wavering tone in her screams that are real. Like normal women will scream, and it's like, she screams, and it's this wavering, blood-chilling, horrible scream. And that's her real scream, because she does the same thing in Ash versus Evil Dead. And I noticed it too. So great like horror actors with a great scream for this kind of
Yep.
scene. So she eventually makes it out of the goat pit, right? She makes it out of the goat pit and then heads out of the barn and starts running further down the property. Right.
Yeah.
She gets to a gate with a fence on it, and it's one of those really big, tall wrought iron gates
Yeah.
that you see at really expensive properties to keep
Yeah,
everybody out. But it's old and rusty and it kind of fallen apart in places. So she finds one piece of it that's a little bit broken off and kind of pries the bars back and slips through. But as she's slipping through, there's a jagged piece of metal that's sticking in her back that literally starts on the right-hand side of her, and the whole time she's going out the gate, it's just slicing her back open the whole.
Yeah, that part hurt me watch it. That part really hurt me. Yeah.
It's a rough watch because it's not like a scratch. Like this is literally like a knife being stuck an inch into somebody and then dragging. So she's literally wounding herself badly getting out of this gate. She gets out of that, and then we get another great scene with like some yuppies in a car, because she sees a car coming. And she's like, keep in mind at this point, if you haven't seen the movie, she's completely covered in blood and gore from the goat pit and all the dead goat bodies, and just generally disheveled looking. Her hair is all sticking out in different directions. She's disgusting. And so you have a female in a torn, shredded wedding dress covered in blood running out into the street. This car comes down. She flags down the car. The car stops long enough to kind of roll down the window and be like, what the fuck is wrong with you, stupid? Get the fuck out of the road. And then keep driving.
Yeah.
She.
Yeah. 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 Well, she. Yeah. 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 And then runs into the woods. Yeah.
So yeah, she runs into the woods. So is this the point where she sees the waiter's car? And by the way, is this a police car that the waiter is driving?
No. I think it's a normal. No, it's not a police car.
Okay.
No, she just like you said, she sees the waiter's car, and then she runs into the woods. No, is that's that?
So does he? Does he find her in the woods, or does she end up back out on the street? This is the part where I'm kind of lost with the film, because. And I don't know if this is an editing thing or what it is, but she was in the woods.
Yeah. Well, she's in the woods now, running around. And then the waiter, the butler, talks to the dad, says, here, no, I'll find her in time, and blah, blah, blah. And then he keeps on going. No, I think eventually the butler finds her, because you can see like she's hiding behind a tree. And then she walks into like this opening field. And that's when the butler pulls up with his car and already sees her. No?
Right. Okay.
Yeah, that's basically it. Then he comes up to her wanting to shoot her with a gun. No, that's what's called Betäubungspistole.
So yeah, like a tranquilizer dart from a gun.
Exactly, a tranquilizer dart gun. No, but you don't know this at the time. No, so then she starts having this fight with the butler. And I'm not pretty sure how they have a thing going around the ground or whatever. And she hits him with something. I'm not sure what it was. If it's just the gun or a rock she got on the floor. She has maybe some object. She hits him over the head with it, and then he's out. And then she, of course, just gets up, gets in the car, and starts to drive away in the street. No?
Right.
Obviously.
Okay.
No?
So she's driving away.
Yeah.
She's driving away in the car that she thinks belongs to the butler, right? She's driving, and this thing has like, a car phone system. So it's not linked to your handy or your cell phone. It's actually like an in-car thing. So she turns it on and says, call the police. Yeah. So I think it's the police. No, it's not the police. It's the company that owns the security system on the car.
Yeah.
So it calls them, and she says, hey, call the police. And she tries to say someone's chasing me, but doesn't get it out because the guy on the other end of the line is like, oh, man, the car that you're in is stolen.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And I just got the notification. Now I have to shut off the car. It really doesn't matter who you are or what danger you're in. My job is to turn off the car manually or remotely. And she's like, she cusses him out, and he's like, sorry, ma'am, I don't know what to do to help you. Turns off the car, and the car's dead in the middle of the road. Right?
And the funny thing is like this guy is like at the end, like, oh, is there anything else I can help you with? And he's like, yeah, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, that's right. He's like, He's like, I have to shut off the car. He shuts off the car and he's like, can I help you with anything else? She's like, he's like, sorry, man. So now she's dead in the middle of the road, right? In the car. The car's dead. She's in the middle of the road with the car.
Yeah.
And the butler catches up with her.
Yeah, and then shoots her.
And shoots her with the fucking dart, which automatically KOs her. He puts her in the passenger seat and starts driving away. Eventually puts her in the back seat so that he can lay her out. She's in the back seat. The butler then gets on his phone and does a video call with the family and says, hey, I got her. She's in the back of the car. And you kind of see the whole family on his phone, like all huddled around the phone, like, did you get her? Did you get her?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I got her. And he's still on a call with them. And I don't understand why he does this, but I guess it needed to happen for the movie. So while he's talking with them, he turns on his music, and it's classical music. I want to say it's like Wagner or something, and turns it all the way up. Like the volume is all the way up, and he's singing along with this fucking music song driving. And the whole time the family's watching him in the back seat, you see Grace start to wake up.
Yeah.
So apparently this tranquilizer dart wasn't very good. Maybe this is something that people use on goats or whatever, but it didn't last very long for her. So she starts to wake up and realize what's going on. He's in the front just singing along with this fucking classical music, and she's kind of coming up behind him. And the family, who is now still on the phone in a video call with this guy who's singing like a maniac to himself, notices that she's waking up in the backseat. They're trying to scream at the butler over the phone to turn down the fucking music so that he can notice that she's about to get him. Mm-hmm. It doesn't work. She throws something around his neck and chokes him. Am I right?
No,
she kicks him in the head.
No, yeah, that's way bad, because now I remember when she was first fighting with the butler, she rips a part off of her dress and then chokes him with it. That's how.
Oh, that's right. That's right. That's how he gets
exactly
knocked out. Right. Okay.
Because in this scene, she just sits she sits back, and she wants to do something, and then the family and the patriarch of the family, the dad, he's like, turn around, you idiot, look behind you, and then she just starts constantly kicking him in the face. No? Yeah.
Probably not the smartest way to do this, but I guess she's not really in her right mind, because the guy's not exactly going slow. Like he's in a hurry to get back to the house. And
well, I mean, the thing is, I'm not certain. She might not be in her right mind, but she also just might be in this mindset. Okay, I'm going to die now, and if I'm going to die, I'm taking you with me, motherfucker.
Maybe, yeah. That could be it.
Yeah.
Anyway, she starts kicking him in the head. Of course, it's not exactly light kicks, so she's kicking him pretty fucking hard. Yeah. This causes him to swerve off the road and wreck the vehicle, right?
Yeah.
So he wrecks the shit out of the vehicle, and the whole family's seeing this, right? I don't know if you caught this, but like this scene, they kind of shoot it in slow motion of the inside of the car flipping around, right? Yeah. With the butler and her in it. And then you see a view of what the family sees on the phone, because they're in a teleconference with him. Did you notice that in this scene, on the teleconference scene, what they're also watching is going in slow motion?
Yeah, I noticed that, yeah.
What the fuck, dude? Like, editing mistake, probably should have been caught.
Probably.
Yeah, whatever. So then the phone goes out, and that's it. And they realize that now she is out there on the loose outside of the property, and they have to go find her. Am I right? I think that's what happens. So they catch her, but I can't exactly remember how they catch her. Do you remember?
Yeah, because I remember, because she gets out of the car eventually. No, I'm not sure. I think the butler is dead at this point. No, and she wants to run, and then Daniel comes out, because he first says like, right. Oh, I just came out here because I wanted to get rid of all the crazy shit. No, and then Daniel stumbles upon her. No, and then she starts to have another discussion with Daniel. No, and you can see that Daniel is still conflicted, and he's drunk as shit. No.
Yeah, he's drunk as fuck. The guy's been slamming wild turkey the entire time.
Yeah,
probably because his sister killed 3 people.
And that because he feels guilty just for everything, because he says at this point, Daniel says multiple times that nobody in this family deserves to be alive. He said he makes multiple statements like that multiple times. And then Grace starts to have kind of a discussion with Daniel. She says, yeah, Alex, blah, blah. And she in the discussion, tries to get to Daniel through his relationship with Alex or whatever. No. And then Alex, at the end, just decides for his family, because he doesn't want his whole family to die. And I think he hits her in the head with the gun. No. Grace is knocked out. And then idiot dad, the patriarch of the family, comes out and is like, oh, yeah, boy, blah, blah, blah. And that's how they capture it.
Daniel has been kind of like on the fence about this whole thing the whole time.
Yeah.
But now he seems completely okay with bringing her inside. You can tell he's still a little conflicted.
Yeah.
But He's like, I don't know if this whole thing with the family is true, if we're all going to die, if she gets killed or not. But he's decided to bring her back inside with the dad, so that's what they do.
Yeah, but later on in the scene, it kind of comes out why. No? Because they bring her in, no, then they start this ritual or whatever they want to do, no? And for somehow they have to drink, I'm not sure if it's blood or I'm just going to assume it's goat blood that they're drinking at this point. I don't know. Maybe
what I thought.
It might be red wine, however. And then shortly before they actually start doing this, the ritual or whatever, no, everybody starts puking, no? And that's the moment where you know that Daniel, he poisoned whatever they were going to drink. And then Daniel just starts untying Grace and starts getting her out of there. That was probably, and this happens like pretty fast afterward, only a few minutes, no? And that was pretty much, I think, why Daniel was
good.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I thought at that point that why Daniel just flipped all of a sudden. It's just pretty much before he went out there, he poisoned the wine, the fluid they were going to drink, and then he probably saw this as the best chance. Because at that point, they would all be in one
incapacitated.
spot.
So that makes sense.
They would all be... Yeah. That's probably what I thought. That was Daniel's plan to begin with. No?
Okay.
Because you never really see...
Huh? No, go ahead.
Because you never really see at what point Daniel actually poisoned the wine or blood, whatever they were drinking.
No, it's done off screen, yeah.
So he could have done this at any time. But that's just speculation at this time.
Yeah. He could have done it at any time. You're right. Yeah, I kind of thought it wasn't something that he just did. I kind of thought that this is something he may have done way before in the past.
Yeah.
But when this scene opens up, it opens up kind of a bird's eye view of Grace laying on a table.
Yeah.
And the camera pulls back. And the more the camera pulls back, you realize she's tied to a table that's got a huge upside down circled pentagram on it, which is you're like, bam, they're into Satanism.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And one thing that made me think that Daniel had this plan to begin with is what we forgot is that the family tied up Alex. No? We forgot that, Pat. No?
Right. Fuck. Yeah.
However,
because they think he's too wishy-washy, right?
Yeah, no, because they know that he wants that he wants to help her. No, because he turned the and however, they actually catch him through Daniel, no, because Daniel has this short discussion with him, no, and Daniel is looking at Alex like, hey, don't worry. We'll get her out of here together and blah, 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 no? Yeah. And then the dad, no, hits Alex with something that knocks him out, no? And...
Yeah, I was just distracting him so you could hit him.
I was distracting him, whatever. But then if you see that the wine was poisoned, that was the scene that made me think that Daniel was actually serious about it. It was just that the dad got him where it was like, oh, no, I'm just distracted. I'm just distracted him. Because... that's what made me think that Daniel poisoned this wine long before any of this shit started, because he had that plan to begin with.
Yeah, I could see that. Okay. So yeah, they've got him basically handcuffed. Yeah. This bothered the shit out of me, dude. Did this bother you too? But like, he's handcuffed, like sitting at the foot of a bed, beside the bed, handcuffed to these tiny, flimsy wooden railings.
Yeah,
right?
Something that's like, I mean, the thing is, actually, I'm not a strong guy, man. And I'm pretty sure, I would say I'm normal strength for a guy, no? And I'm pretty damn sure if I wanted to, I could rip that thing off.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that bothered me the whole time. Like, not only that, but you see how flimsy it is because it's moving. Like, not moving a little bit, moving a lot the whole time he's handcuffed. I'm like, dude, fucking stand up. Stand up. Stand up and pull up. The whole thing's going to break. No, this guy decides to sit there with his handcuffs and use the chain to saw through the wood. This is one of those things that I don't understand. Movie makers and people who cut films together, somebody should have been like, hey guys, this is really fucking stupid.
Yeah.
This is really fucking stupid. So this guy is going to use the chains of a handcuffs to rub back and forth to cut through the wood that he could easily just pull himself off of. Okay, sure. This takes him about 2 hours, I would assume. To saw
2 hours at least.
Wood.
That's a ridiculous thing because this is like the most guys I know, could easily, if they wanted to, just rip this thing off. I mean, and this is like this fucking
annoying.
I mean, I think I'm gonna assume this guy is somewhere around our height, because we're the same height, Matt.
Yeah.
And somewhere between us when it comes to weight, because I think you weigh a little bit more than me, but I think we're a little similar, So I guess all the thing he would have to do is just literally just jump and go with his elbow on it, and the thing would be through. And he's sitting here for, just like you say, for hours. It
makes no fucking sense. And this is where this guy has been since he's been caught, right?
Yeah.
So you see that, I think at this point, finally, he's also sawed through the wood with his fucking handcuff chains and gets up, right? Downstairs, where they're doing the ritual, they do the ritual, and like you said, they're drinking the wine. The dad raises the dagger over her to stab her and goes something in Latin, and then says, "Hails," and then stops and goes, "Hails," stops, and then starts throwing up the red wine. And the family's like, "Oh, what the fuck is wrong with him? What's wrong with him?" And then they all start throwing up.
Yeah.
Like, they all start puking up this shit too. And immediately they're like, somebody poisoned, blah, blah, blah. I don't think Daniel admits to it, but I think they all realize that he's the one that did it. I don't know why.
Yeah, they realize it. They realize it because Daniel, just when they start puking, he just starts untying her everywhere. And of course, that's when they all realize that he did it, because he's untying her and then helping her out.
Yeah.
And then
so they're all throwing up and not feeling good. Her and Daniel run out of the room and meet Alex, who's just now coming down the stairs after he's sawed himself through, right?
You're wrong about that one. No. It was actually Daniel and Grace. No, Daniel and Grace run out the room, Matt. And Daniel explains to Grace, he said, "Don't worry, they'll be fine. They'll just be out for a few minutes." And then he wants to go out with her, and Daniel's wife catches up with them. And then they have a short discussion, and he's like, "Let her go," and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, "Oh, you don't care if I die or what?" Then his wife just, without big discussion, just pulls out a gun and fucking shoots him. I think pretty much here in the neck or whatever. And then, he falls on the floor. I think Grace, Grace walks up to Daniel's wife and knocks her out. She runs back to Daniel, and pretty much he has a real wound on his neck, so he's probably going to die before anybody can help him. And then Daniel just pretty much looks at her like, "Get out of here. Just run."
He's like, "Just run. Just run."
Grace is like, "Thank you," and then starts just hailing out of there. Then Alex comes in because Grace is somewhere in a different room, I think. And then Alex comes running in and sees that Daniel is dying. And he basically dies in Alex's arms. And then Alex catches up with Grace in the other room.
Yeah. Where do we go from there?
Well, however, then
the whole end of this movie kind of starts to bleed together for me because so much shit happens. In the last 30 minutes.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, the pacing is a bit off here. The pacing is super fast.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, what kind of is confusing for a lot of people, I guess, is she gets away and they catch her and bring her back multiple times. Yeah. And then Alex catches up with Grace, and she's like totally fucking panicked or freaking out, but she sees that it's Alex. At the moment, she's not nervous that he's here, just because of the entire situation. Then Alex starts talking to her something I don't fully remember what, don't really care. And then Alex looks at her and is like, "You're probably not going to be with me after this, no?" And she doesn't say anything to him. This is the most dumbest thing possibly they could have done, because instantly Alex just grabs her by the neck and screams at everyone, she's here, no? And this is such a fucking stupid way, because, maybe it's supposed to lean into he's just as toxic as everybody else when he doesn't get what he wants, no? But it goes against everything this character has been throughout the entire fucking movie, no? And why is, if they wanted to kill this character, it should have happened pretty much after everything. Because, we're going to get into it pretty much later. However, Alex screams, "Here, they're here," and then the family comes in, and then Dad comes in, "Oh, my boy, you've done the right thing," and blah, blah, blah. They take her all back to the room, want to perform this ritual, and they're all... Now Alex is right up front of Grace, holding the knife, wanting to stab her. Was like... This entire scene is they should have established something with Alex that he doesn't really care. It's like they put Alex throughout the entire time he's the only, Alex and Daniel are the only two good people in this family.
Right.
And then Alex making this turn just because Daniel died, and now that Grace, he thinks Grace doesn't want to be... She never said that. She never said or hinted anything towards him that she doesn't want to be with him anymore. No? So it's
right. So all of a sudden, this guy has
multiple,
lost whatever he felt for this girl out of nowhere and
out of
decided to
nowhere.
side with his family out of the fucking blue because that's what happens. You're
Yeah,
absolutely
right,
right. It
right. It's
makes
like
no sense.
and later on, when we're done with the movie, I'll tell you how I thought they should have written the character.
Okay.
Because then they're performing this ritual, and then Alex is holding up, wanting to stab the weight, and then they know that it's light outside, and then they pull up the curtains, and everybody's like, "Oh my god!" Then they hide from the sunlight like vampires. All of a sudden, like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna burn."
That is it. I don't understand that. What the fuck is that, dude? Like,
Yeah.
was there something that said if they see the daylight, they're going to burn alive like
No,
vampires
no.
or whatever?
The thing is,
Everyone's hiding their skin. You know what I mean?
yeah, the cocaine girl is hugging her kids, like, oh my god, whatever. It's like, this is literally like they pull up the curtains, it's done like, oh my god, we're gonna burn, like they're vampires or whatever, no? And actually, because that is funny. Funny thing is, Matt, when I watched this movie before the hide and seek thing started, I literally thought this was going to be a vampire movie because I didn't look into it when watching it, no? Because however, then they're all in this room, they realize the sun has gone up, and then they're like, oh, nothing's happening. And then the one guy that marries is like, I knew it was bullshit or whatever, no? And then like shortly after that, he just starts, boom, he starts exploding. And then the dad explodes, and then
Like
he just
yeah.
Then he just one
With
after
every
another.
explosion, it's just an explosion of gore.
They just explode. This scene is actually pretty cool. I like it.
It is. It is.
Yeah, it's a great scene. Then, however,
the best part is too, you can see it in their faces, right? So this whole time, once the sun comes out and they realize nothing happens, they're completely in the freeze. So there's this realization in the family, hey, wait a minute, we may have been doing this thing for years for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of that realization. And then the fat guy's like, I know it. It's bullshit. I've been doing this for nothing. Explode. Blood and gore everyone. Fucking love it. Right? Yeah. And then one by one, the family starts to explode. Yeah. Fucking Bebop picks up her fucking hatchet. And she's like, no, we failed and I will not fail. So she starts running at Grace to kill her with the hatchet, the battle axe. And explodes. And then the cocaine sister gets really spooked by this and is like, fuck this, I'm running away. I'm not part of the family anymore. So she takes her kids and runs out the door. And you don't see them anymore. You just see them run outside the door. And then you hear pop, pop, boom. Yeah. All three of them explode. And the whole room just fills with their blood and guts because they just exploded into the hallway. Fucking love that scene, dude. And so the only one that's left now is Alex. And I like this scene because it's almost this scene. You almost feel like Alex had a choice here for whatever reason, because he's not exploded yet and she's still wearing the wedding ring. And he's like, are you sure you don't want to be with me? We can still run away. We can still make this work, blah, 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 blah. And she's like, no. And she takes out the wedding ring and throws it at him and he explodes.
And the moment he explodes, yeah. And then it's like, then she just turns around and picks up a cigarette case, no? Walks out in front of the door while the house is now burning because she knocked a lamp over while the house, and that started a fire in the house.
We actually missed something. Because she started this fire after the mother attacked her.
Yeah.
So she's in the dining room and the mother attacks her and tries to kill her, right? She is on the ground being choked by the mother and pulls the tablecloth from the table down because it's the only thing she can get her hands on. And that takes the box, like the puzzle box, and it falls on the ground next to her. She picks it up and bashes the mother's brains in. Just like, bam, over and over and over, beating her to death with this fucking box.
Yeah. Right.
And after she does that, she picks up a lamp that's like an old-timey lamp that has fire inside of it, like a lantern, and throws it on the ground and sets that whole room on fire. So that's why the house is on fire. Yeah, we missed that part.
However, she sits down on the stairs, lights up a cigarette, and you hear like cops are coming or whatever. And this is like the funniest scene, in my opinion, because what happened to you? And she's like, in-laws happened. And then that's pretty much it. That was the end. It was hilarious. I mean, it's a good movie. It's just like, I wouldn't consider it to be like a great movie. I thought it was fun. Specifically after the hide and seek game started, everything I thought was, okay, it's cool. And there were multiple scenes that I thought were actually funny. The cocaine girl, I thought was hilarious. Shut a fucking idiot. But I mean, the thing is, she was I was only for this character that the movie was actually a comedy, you could say, because yeah, she's the only one
definitely
that's
the
doing
comic
funny
relief.
shit. I mean,
Yeah.
stupid fun.
She's a fucking moron, and this movie needed it because the things that she does without it, this would almost be just like a horror film. But
Yeah.
the parts that she does, the people that she accidentally kills, the fact that she's always doing coke, the fact that the coolest explosion scene is when she runs out of the room with the kids and all three of them explode.
Yeah,
I liked her
yeah.
character, loved it. She was my favorite character in the film, besides Grace, of course.
Yeah, exactly. Besides Grace, but this is the point where I wanted to bring up how they just Alex character, this plot twist with Alex made no fucking sense at all.
Poorly done.
No fucking
Poorly
because
executed.
the thing is, because it's like the entire movie, they set up his entire character arc is him and his brother are the only ones in the family that are against this shit. And he left the family, no? Yeah. Because he just had enough of it. He met this girl that he fell in love with. He wanted to spend the rest of his life with her, whatever. And then all of that feelings is just gone because he realizes, she doesn't want to be with him anymore. But he just thinks that. She never said that. Neither did she hint towards that. It's just, it's stupid. And what they should have done, no, is the other family members should have knocked him out, no? Try to perform the ritual again. Then the entire thing with the sunlight happenings, no? Then Grace, when she leaves, picks up the cigarette, gets Alex up, and sits with him in front of the stairs and puts on a cigarette, no? And when the cops come in or whatever, and he's like, oh, what happened? Then Alex pops.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. That would have been cooler. You're right.
That's how they should have ended it, because this goes against everything this character has been in the entire movie. And it's just like it's one of those things, what I personally think is like he's the toxic boyfriend that a lot of people don't realize after 1 or 2 years, because actually the most people that are in toxic relationships and they get abused, either if it's physically or mentally, no? Very often these toxic people don't show their true character until the person has been with them for like 1 or 2 years already. And that's actually, in my opinion, no, what this character was supposed to be, no? But just is stupid. It was
executed poorly.
Yeah. They should have, because either throughout the movie, they would have had to put something else that hint towards the fact that he is not necessarily a good guy. Like when a scene between Daniel and him, and Daniel says to him, hey, you think this is going to end like your exes or something like that? No? Because that at least would be a hint towards the fact that he has not been the nicest in previous relationships. But this is just like, he's fighting for the entire movie just to save her, no? And now for no logical reason whatsoever, he just loses all those feelings and decides, I'm just going to kill her.
You could argue that that's because his brother died and he was close with his brother, but honestly, that's not really enough for me. That's not enough for me for him to change.
Yeah, the thing is, I agree with you. You can make that argument, understandably, no? But it's not like, it's not enough, because the fact is that Alex already hated his family before he got with Grace. That's also stated multiple times. No?
Yeah.
So him...
No, go ahead.
Are you there?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Alex, Grace not wanting to be with Alex or whatever, would have not made Alex switch this extreme in this situation. No? It would be like, it makes... in this scene, however, when Alex comes up to her and says, you're not going to be with me after this or whatever, it would have been if he would have touched her and said, well, at least you'll be alive. And then somebody else knocks him out or whatever. That is how that scene should have ended.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because this is just like, I don't know, this is totally like pissing and shitting on the entire character you build up throughout the entire movie. It's like, this is not a plot twist. It's just like a character just how are we going to destroy this character within a few seconds?
Well, I think what that comes down to, that you see it in a lot of horror films, right? You kind of see what their you kind of see what their aim was with the character and what they eventually wanted to do. And there's good idea fairies in movies, right? So, oh, it would be cool if we did this. It would be cool if we did this. Oh man, we got to make this work. And then at the end, when they're about done filming or they're filming a scene, they've already filmed it, and they realize that they didn't really explain it as well as they wanted to, or as the good idea fairy told them to.
Yeah.
But by then, you're over budget and out of time, so you have to leave it. And that's what this felt like to me. Like,
Possibly, yeah.
it was cool. It's very cool in a horror film or any film when you flip the script. So if at the end of a film you make a character out to be exactly the opposite of what you thought he was, and you do it correctly, it can be great. Like it's done brilliantly in a lot of movies. It was poorly executed in this one.
Yeah.
And it felt very off. Felt very off. You're absolutely right.
That's
Because this guy has been a darling the whole fucking time. Like he's been a hero. He's tried to get her out of it several times. He's tried to convince her to go back. Everything. He didn't even want to come here. She came here because she was able to convince him over everything else that she wanted to get married and be part of the family. And he just kind of said, okay, if that's what you want. And now he's doing this, makes no sense.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's like this thing is, but Daniel, they read perfectly. The character flip with Daniel, it made absolutely sense because there are so much hints, that Daniel makes throughout the entire movie. No?
Yeah.
Even Daniel making a hint that he actually wanted to help Alex get Grace out of here, that this character flip that Daniel does, makes sense. Because you think about because what happened previously with Daniel in the movie, you're thinking he might have planned this straight up to begin with, right from the get-go. No? But of course, you don't know. We can theorize about when Daniel did what for another 2 hours, I think. But this with Alex, it's just I
don't get it. Most of the movie, I'll say this, I appreciate a slow build up to a film. In terms of horror, if you don't know what you're getting into with the film, which I always try to, if I'm going to see a film in the theaters or whatever, I may have seen a preview or something, but I really don't know what the movie is, but the preview will tell me enough to know if I'm going to like the movie or not. So if you go into movies, and there was a recent film like this, I think it was called Long Legs. I'm not comparing these two films at all because they have nothing to do with each other, but Long Legs is one of those where there's a slow build, an extremely slow build up, almost to the point where you're a little bit bored. And then it takes off, right? This film does that too, but it keeps it interesting. The buildup is really slow, and the beginning kind of keeps you guessing about what kind of movie this is going to be. But my problem is, once the slow burn is over with and this movie kicks into high gear and you realize what's going on, things happen boom, 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 boom. And it's hard to keep up with. It's like they crammed, fucking 5 pounds of shit into a 2-pound sock. It really quit.
Well, no.
And that threw me off. It didn't really give me a chance to look. There could have been some character building here that didn't get done.
Yeah, well, thing is, actually, I did not have a problem keeping up with the movie. No, I didn't really have a problem because basically after the movie kicks in, there's basically the same thing what a lot of people might have problem keeping up with. There's not much things happening because basically after the movie kicks in, like you say, it's basically the same thing happening again and again and again and again. She runs away. Somebody finds her. She's brought back to the ritual room. She escapes, runs away. Somebody finds her. She gets caught. They bring her back to the ritual room. And this happens multiple times. That's after it kicks in, the entire movie is that loop straight up until the end. No?
Yeah.
And it's and then I think that's why I'm not sure if you realize that, no? But that's why I did not really have much problems keeping up because once she got out, no, and the butler was bringing her back in, at that point I knew what was going to happen to begin with because I thought for myself, okay, we're just having this loop why they catch her, she gets away, and then she's brought back. They have this loop happening again and again and again where I'm okay, no.
Yeah, but in between those times, little tiny things happen in that loop that explain the story a little bit better. It's that's what they wanted to do was have her escape and be caught again over and over and over again. But every time that happens, something more is explained. And in my mind, going back through this, trying to dissect the movie in kind of a podcast format, it makes it difficult because I can't keep up with what happened when, because it's the same thing. I can't, like, is this the scene where she got away and they brought her back? Is this the scene where she got, and this happens like 8 times. So that's why the whole time I'm like, what scene was this? Because this happens over and over again, you know?
Yeah.
I like overall thoughts on the movie. I wish I could remember, dude. I looked it up what the director had done. So the writer-director team, I'm glad I remember this. The writer-director team are the same guys who did the last 2 Scream movies. Yeah, so that's them. And the last 2 Scream movies, which we're going to have to do the Scream franchise as a whole because I love Scream. But the last 2 films were really fucking good. I mean, to be fair, there hasn't been a bad Scream movie yet. I can't think of one of them that I watched that I didn't like. I liked them all. I did. I liked every one of them.
They were all
Yeah,
okay.
they were good.
Yeah. They were all good.
Not that any of them hold a candle to the first one, but they were all good. And these last 2 were really good. They were really good. We'll have to see what happens with this next one because this team is also doing Scream 7 right now. So we'll see what happens. But if the last 2 films are any indication, this next one will be pretty good.
For me, and generally, it was just the beginning that literally threw the movie off for me. It's because I don't have a problem if a movie is slow paced. I often enjoy that when you have like, when it starts out and then the slow paced and then pretty much halfway through the movie it kicks in. It's just the way it was written. Because it was like, when I saw the beginning of this movie, it was just like, oh my God, this is like a soap opera report. And that was just like, sorry, Matt, but that instantly threw me off. I mean, because I was literally sitting there like, oh my God, for me, if it was a rom-com, I would be like, okay. And if I was sitting there with one of my girlfriends in the past, one of my girlfriends, I would have to watch it or whatever, I'd be like, yeah, fine, whatever. But if I'm watching a horror movie and I see this shit, it's like, no, I literally, I mean, I know for damn sure if I did not have to watch the movie because we were doing an episode about it, I would have turned it off. I would have straight out turned it off because I don't want to see a fucking rom-com. And if it's not a rom-com, it's just like, how should I say it? This is like, I mean, the scene where she's sitting down there and smoking, literally that scene is like literally how much every single lesbian porn scene starts out. You know?
You're right.
Yeah, and I'm sitting there and it goes from, and for me, it just had that vibe, no? And then it went on to the entire rom-com soap opera thing, and it was just like, I do not know. There was just no character in this scene besides Daniel and Alex. They were okay. They were pretty much sympathetic, but everything beyond that is just like, I really can't stand any of these people. No, and it's just like, and if it starts,
and we're back. I had to do a quick connection change because it was getting kind of bad. So, so the movie didn't work for you.
No, well, I would say it didn't work for me. It's just one thing I don't like is very rarely there has to be for me somebody where that story's focused on that I have to kind of like to a certain degree. No, for me to be interested in the story to begin with. No. It was just what threw me off is it's basically just a stereotypical rom-com. No? This is like a bunch of fucking rich assholes that have a stick up their ass. No? And there is nothing interesting about anybody. It's not like with other movies where I literally just want to fucking kill every single one of them because I hate them. It's just
you didn't think Kane's sister was interesting? I thought she was fucking interesting as hell. I liked her character. I was even a little bit sad when she died at the end because I spent so much time laughing at how stupid.
Yeah. I mean, Cocaine Sister. Yeah, okay. But until she comes in, Matt, we're still like already 20 to 25 minutes into the movie already.
Yeah, but I mean, okay. So you didn't like the main female character, the bride?
Grace, I liked her. Yeah, I liked her pretty much. But she
was enough for me to already appreciate the film. But here's the thing: as a horror guy, right?
I liked her, but it's just
we got a little bit of a delay now. But this is the thing: as a horror guy, if you've seen another actress in another horror film and she did really well, and you like her already, but she's been in 3 films that I really liked her in, then you're automatically a little bit biased with the character, and so. Like the person she's playing. So I think going into this, seeing her in that role, I was like, yes, it's her again. So I liked her character from the get-go, and maybe that's what kind of made me interested in the film. If I leave my bias out of it, I kind of see what you're saying. It feels a little bit slow and cheesy at the beginning.
Yeah, that's the thing is, because, okay, I didn't, I went into the movie knowing nothing about it. No, I knew it was a horror comedy, but other than that, I did not know Grace, the main actress. I knew the actor Daniel. I seen him in multiple other things.
See, I've never seen Daniel in anything.
What? Yes, I've seen him in multiple movies, multiple TV shows. He played on what I remember him is he played on Smallville. Then he was a main character in another sitcom, countless other movies. The last big movie I remember him in is Shazam, where he played.
Is that the movie that supposedly doesn't exist? Shazam?
Why?
So you're gonna have to look it up after this episode. Supposedly, okay, follow me down this rabbit hole. Supposedly, this movie never existed. This is one of those Mandela effect things, right? So Shazam was a movie that supposedly had, what's his name? I can't remember his name. Sinbad. Sinbad played a genie, right?
What are you talking about?
Yeah, Shazam, the movie Shazam.
The superhero movie.
Well, that's Shazam. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so now I got to explain
Of course.
myself,
What else
right?
did you?
So, yeah, okay, you're talking about that Shazam.
Yeah.
There's another movie, and I'm
Yeah,
interested
that's
to
what I'm
see what
talking
other
about,
people
yeah.
on. Okay, there's another movie called Shazam where Sinbad, who's a black comedian, plays a genie, and it's a live action film. Happened back in the early 90s, right?
I remember
There
what
is-
movie you're talking about, yeah.
Okay, so you remember it. I also remember it. Supposedly that movie doesn't exist and never happened. There's a whole group of people on this planet who say that that movie never happened and never existed, including Sinbad, the guy who played the genie in the films. And if you go back and try to find that film anywhere on Google or anywhere on the internet, it does not exist. So this is one of those Mandela effect things where people like you and me remember the movie, but other people are like, it never happened, including the actor who was in the film. So weird thing. But anyway, that was a big side note. You're talking about the movie Shazam, the superhero DC film.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Okay.
I was, and because Daniel, he played also a role in that movie. However, but even though I was, how should I say it? I wouldn't say that I like the actor. I'm pretty neutral towards him. Now, I've seen him in a few cool movies and shows. Yeah, okay, but I've never really, how should I say it? Just like I went in totally not knowing anything about this movie. No, and no
Okay.
bias or whatsoever. And I just went in thinking I'm going to watch a horror movie now. And then I see this shit. And I'm like, until the hide and seek thing went on, I was like, when is something going to happen? And then I mean, the entire hide and seek game started. Like, oh yeah, okay. Yeah. But at the end, it's a good movie. I'm not saying it's a bad movie. For me personally, it was just,
It's a good movie. I would recommend it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely. In the end, I think it might be differently if I watch it now because there's also a thing that went into it. I was doing stuff for the band for like 10 to 12 hours, putting up our new press kit and everything.
Right.
No, was working on that for quite some time. And then I just got out of that and just went into this movie, and I was just generally exhausted. So that could have also been it,
Okay. Yeah, you have to be in a mood to watch a horror film. That's the thing. You have to like get like, I don't know what your ritual is for horror films, but I've been a horror head for such a long time. Like I'll get into like something comfy and get in my favorite chair and get like a beer or coffee or whatever. And I know I'm in for a ride. Most of the time I'm disappointed because there are a lot of shitty fucking horror films out there. But every once in a while, one comes up where you're like, this was pretty good. And for me, this one was pretty good. I liked it.
Yeah, it was. It's a good movie. I usually when I make something to eat, I cook something, or I go and get a donut, and then I start watching the horror movies. I know that's kind of weird. I'm one of those people. I actually am usually eating while watching a horror movie.
Yeah. Zombie films, gore, doesn't matter what it is, dude. Like, the more disgusting, the better.
That's usually my ritual.
When I was watching Terrifier 3 in the movie theater, I think I had bought like one of those fucking sandwiches they sell at the German theater, plus like a bucket of popcorn. I was just like double fisting food. I was watching people get sawed up. Pretty cool. So here's the question I have, right? So because this film did very well at the box office, this film had a modest budget too. It also wasn't like a huge budget. It was kind of, I wouldn't say low budget, but I would say lower than a general, full-fledged horror film that's going to be big. It did really fucking well. Really fucking well. This movie made a shit ton of money. I can't remember exactly how much, but it made a bunch of money. Because of that, any horror studio will tell you if a movie does that well, do a part 2. So they've announced a part 2, and they've announced that Weaving, the main character girl, is also starring in part 2.
Okay.
If that's the case, what are your predictions for part 2 as what the story's going to be? Because I got my own, but I'm curious what you think.
Well, my prediction is hard to say, but what I'm going to say is something around there like everybody's going to think she's absolutely fucking nuts. No? And either she's going to get the blame on or whatever, and to somehow not go in jail, she's going to get some kind of a deal. No? From some dumbass or I don't know or whatever. No? And then she's going to be taken away somewhere else, and then basically the same thing happens again. I mean, either that or I don't know, it's going to be a few years later and she started her own family around the whole shit again because she's now totally fucked up or something. I think that's going to be my prediction. Yeah.
Okay. So here's the thing, right? There's some general themes in this film and a few things that if you weren't really paying attention, you wouldn't have caught. And I mentioned one of those things earlier. And it's kind of, I feel like they should have pushed this idea a little bit more in the movie so that people would have seen it. And then they would have been more open to a part 2. But the scene where the father is explaining that the curse is real and he's explaining that these other families are dying and something bad happened to them because they didn't follow the rules. What I think, so the character that they're talking about that their great-great-grandfather made a deal with is actually the devil.
Probably.
So the character that they made a deal, that the great-grandfather made a deal with to get the money to start his life and his business was Satan. Right. And so the deal is, Satan's deal was, if you bring me a soul every time somebody marries into the family, or at least when they pull this card, then you'll continue to be rich. Right. So if that's Satan and he made a deal with this family to do that, then he's also made that same deal with a bunch of other families because they even mention it.
Yeah.
So what I think is going to happen is this girl comes out of this and remembers that he said there were other families. So I think what she's going to do is going to go try to marry into families that do this and start taking the families out.
Yeah, that could be interesting. That could be interesting, yeah.
And if that's the route they go, then I'm excited. I'm in. Count me in. Like I want to see this shit. I want to see what calamity happens during these films because this was about as close to a soft Evil Dead, Sam Raimi kind of humor and horror that I really like in horror films. And so if they want to continue this formula, I'm going to watch it because I'm a sucker for that kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, thing is, at the end, pretty much halfway going through it, was like I thought, it was cool. And definitely, if they make a sequel, I'll watch it. I mean, I'm interested enough that I would like to see how it continues, but I hope, for God's sake, they don't start off like the first one. You know,
well, they won't because you'll be going into this one knowing what happened in the last one.
Yeah.
So all of that shit that you hated at the beginning can be kind of chopped out of the film. This could be one of those, if we're lucky, that the sequel will probably be better than the original film, which rarely happens. But I think if they do it right, this one will be one of those movies.
Yeah, true. If they do it right, absolutely. Yeah.
But we'll have to see how the next Scream film is first to determine how the part 2 of this is going to be, because it's going to be the same writer-director. I don't think... Okay, I know what I wanted to say. Did you read anything? Are you a big Scream fan, or are you kind of like on the fence about Scream?
A Scream? No. I've seen multiple of the movies. I'm not sure if I've seen all of them. I like them, but I'm not really a big, Scream fan.
Okay. So I'm a big Scream fan. The original 2 murderers, the original 2 Ghostface in the original film, one of them's coming back. So Stu's character, who's the guy who got the TV dropped on him, on his head in the first movie, and you thought he was dead, he's coming back in this film. So this is something that every big Scream fan has been wondering for a long time. When are they bringing back Stu? Because you kind of saw him die, but you kind of didn't. The other murderer is obviously dead, but this guy's not. So he's coming back in this film, and there's like a huge internet thing about it. Like everybody's flipping out what they're going to do, but I don't know. I don't know how they can make that good. I really don't. I don't know how they're going to make that good. It kind of feels like a cash grab. I'm still interested.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it turns out. Yeah.
Well, did you want to talk about metal? Because we haven't covered metal at all.
No, not at all. Now we just went into the movie. Okay, so now, yeah. So now we can talk about metal. Do you have anything?
Right. Not really, dude. Like, there's not a whole lot, like, besides our own stuff, which we can't really talk about. There's a few other bands that I'm interested in, but we're gonna have 2 of them on the show around episode 10 and a little bit later. So I can't really talk about that. I don't really have anything, dude. Like, I gotta be completely honest, man. Like, I don't know how you are about like a lot of the metal releases that are coming out or have been coming out in the last couple of years, but there has not been anything that's piqued my interest in any of the new stuff. Aside from the fact that Killswitch Engage is releasing a new album or have released a few songs or whatever, I haven't listened to them. Is it an album?
It's been out for like 2 or 3 weeks yet.
Okay. What do you think? Because I was a huge fan of those guys back in the day.
I do. I love the album. I mean, how should I say it? The best way to describe it is it's a Killswitch Engage album. I mean, one thing, how should I say it? If you listen to it, it's just like, it's not like super new, anything they haven't been doing. No, it's just like, it's a Killswitch Engage album. What Killswitch Engage music does, that's what they do in this album. No, it's just like the same thing.
So they didn't change the formula or anything.
Oh no, they didn't change the form. They didn't change the formula. It reminds me kind of like the first album they did with the old new singer. I don't know his name. I think Jesse is his name. No, yeah. That's what it kind of reminds me of. I like it, actually. I really do. It's a good album.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to take a listen to it. I was kind of a fan back in the day. Not as big of a fan as you are, but a decent fan of those guys. That was kind of like I think I want to say 2010, something like that. I was really listening to those guys. It was those guys, Lamb of God and Behemoth, and then a whole bunch of obscure black metal bands. But those guys, they had a thing for a little while where their lead singer was really good. The black guy, can't remember his name, but amazing lead singer, like did it the best. And then he quit, right? Because he kind of had to. And I didn't like anything else that they released after that. I wasn't a fan of the new lead singer at all, so I kind of quit listening.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the thing.
Is this guy back?
No, it's the same guy. The thing is, they actually had 2 singers. The thing is, the singer that's now with them now. Why I said new singer, old singers. They had one album with Jesse. No, that's the guy you're talking about. No, yeah. Then he had, I'm not sure why, but he had some kind of issues where he left the band. Then the black guy came in. No, and he was with them for multiple albums. Yeah. Then he left the band, and then the singer they had before him, they brought him back in, and he's been with the band since. Okay. Yeah, just as Yeah. And so
this is the old singer. He's pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay.
The guy it was the guy they had. It was the guy they had before.
Okay. I'll check out the album because I've been interested. I didn't know the album was released. I knew that they'd released a few songs, but I didn't want to listen to that because I'm one of those people that when I go into a metal album, I want to listen to the whole thing from start to finish, and I don't want to hear like little singles. I mean, which sucks because if we release singles, I want people to listen to them. Yeah. But I myself am like, no, I'll wait for the album. And so now that I know the album's out, I'll listen to it. I'll give it a listen, and then we can talk about it on the next podcast. What I want you to do in the time being, because how do I do this without giving too many things away? Whatever. Check out Allegion. I don't know if you've really listened to their stuff, but those guys are an amazing melodic death metal band. Like, brilliant. And their stuff's really, really good. They released one album. I think they have a whole bunch of albums, but they released another one, I think it was like 2 years ago, and it's called Damn Them. Amazing album. But they're going to be releasing a new one here pretty soon. So check those guys out. Maybe listen to them. I kind of want to talk about them next time. So, yeah. And that's pretty much it, dude. Like, I think we kind of dissected this film. I didn't really bash the fuck out of it. You didn't either. So I guess this next time we're going to have to pick a film that we just destroy.
Yeah. How should I say it? For me, it's just like, I don't know. There was not much to bash about it. It was just like, for me, the first 30 to 45 minutes of it. No. That was what I could kind of bash about it, but we got through it pretty fast. Yeah, it was a pretty fast fucking film. Yeah.
Well, if we had done Friday the 13th, to be fair, which we will do Friday the 13th, like, I am going to bash the shit out of that film. And I knew that. going into it. Yeah. So I was like, why don't we do a film that we're not going to completely destroy real quick? So that's why we did this one, plus part 2 is coming out. But so do you want to do Friday the 13th next then?
Well, actually, that was the movie we had on our schedule anyway, Matt.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Okay, so Friday the 13th. We're doing Friday the 3rd. The original Friday the 13th.
We're doing Friday the 13th next time. Yeah, next episode.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, in that case, I don't have anything else, do you?
No, me neither.
Okay. Good deal. So if you guys like the show and you like what we're doing here, check us out on Spotify. Yeah. Make sure to go to YouTube because tomorrow this episode will be released on YouTube. drop us a like, drop us some comments, drop us some recommendations. If there's shit that you want to see us do, please tell us. There have been a few people that have written in saying they'd like us to do some movies, but I'd like to have a bigger pool. So please write in and tell us what movies you want us to do.
Yeah.
You got anything else, Mike?
No, I have nothing at the moment. No.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, check us out next time, guys. This is Matt. See you
This
later.
is Mike. See you later.